Hello, Internet friends. Welcome back once again, and thank you all so much for joining me here today. What you're going to be watching is the training that I did in the latter part of week 3 of this training block. We are continuing to add more volume still, um, and it's exciting, it's definitely challenging, and continuing to work on improving technical proficiency, work on positioning, getting used to still wearing the heeled shoes and the squats, and just all around trying to get better. So the sessions here are going to be 4 sets of 8 on this 450-pound squat. That is still within a range for me that is more challenging to the lungs and the lactic acid building than anything else. But I think that's very important to get the volume in. Then after this squat session you're going to see my deadlifts from the week, the sumo pulls, 570 pounds for 8 sets of 3. That's an extra set and an extra 10 pounds over last week. And I forced myself to wait 2 minutes in between on those sets to try and maintain a higher standard of proficiency, a higher technical level. And I think that it was effective and it was exciting because making myself wait for the full 2 minutes when I have been trying to rush through those so much makes me feel like my conditioning is improving, at least for the deadlifts, probably because I'm just much better at those lifts. My conditioning for the squats is still pretty terrible, but we are working on that. It's definitely something that I want to continue to improve on. And then you're going to watch the end portion, which is going to be a couple of the bench sessions from this week as well. Overall, training is challenging but exciting in terms of I know that this is the work that I need to be doing to be getting better, even if it's not the most glamorous, the most exciting, the most in the forefront of your mind when it comes to working hard. You think of big, heavy weights. You don't think so much about putting in crazy amounts of volume and constantly trying to improve your technique little by little. But that is where we're at right now, and that's what I need, and that's what I feel like is necessary. So the topic I want to talk about today, though, is kind of a more nuanced approach to the idea of excuses. So you have generally two schools of thought, two camps, where some people say they just live their life based on excuses, and that's not really a healthy thing. You tend to never get anywhere if you rely so heavily on excuses that you don't allow yourself to accept any kind of negative repercussions for your own actions, whether that's an understanding of something or to sit within some of that frustration or that struggle for a while and use that to become better. Then you have the other camp, which tends to be never use excuses no matter what, whether valid or not. You can have excuses or you can have results. You definitely can't ever let the two touch and hang out and be best friends. So I'm not gonna say that I belong to either one of these camps of potential extremist views. One of them is really helpful for some people in terms of coping with their disappointments. One of them is really helpful for some people in terms of motivating them to maintain a high standard or quality of whatever it is that they're doing. In my personal opinion, my personal experience, I feel like you have to utilize a balance of the two or else you won't ever be happy. So referring to the people who always constantly make excuses, I can see there being some valid point with believing that it is possible to excuse a past behavior or outcome if it allows you to move on and learn from it in a positive way, to say that this is usually the kinds of things that were truly out of your control, where not that you are making or creating an excuse that doesn't exist, but that you are understanding and excusing a real tangible thing and saying, well, it makes sense that this other thing wasn't possible because of this set of circumstances that were out of my control. That I feel like that's a healthy thing. I feel like if you hang on to things you can't control and constantly beat yourself up and keep a negative mindset about the outcome without considering the circumstances that led to that outcome, you're never going to be happy with anything you do. You'll always feel negative about whatever accomplishment you're trying to reach. Then you have the other camp of the people who say no excuse is good enough, never let yourself have an excuse. And I feel like you run into the issue that we were just talking about, where you have a hard time ever coping with disappointments, especially if it's something that you didn't have control with. And you have to recognize that there are going to be times in your life where uh, maybe a justification is necessary to move on and say, well, this is something that I need to move on with my own life. But what you don't want to fall into the habit of doing is excusing things that you have an active influence or input on, um, or continuing to use an old excuse or an action that you have excused in the past based off of just based off the fact that it's happened before, where you say, well, that's just the kind of person I am, or that's just how I deal with this thing. You should constantly be striving to eliminate those from your life, to find points of control within your own existence, because we don't have a whole lot of control in the grand scheme of things and all the factors in the universe, but you should strive, if you live passionately and if you have a pursuit that you care about and something that you're trying to get better at, you should rein that in a little bit and make sure that the factors that you have a direct influence on, the choices that you're making mostly, are something that you are staying accountable with, and not making excessive excuses, and not excusing behaviors that you're choosing to partake in, especially if you know better. If it's something that you look back and say, well, I really shouldn't have done that thing, or I should have made a better choice here. Learn from that experience, um, and learn to sit a little bit in the sting of it so that it can help benefit your progression moving forward. But then learn to let that go and move on from it. Don't get so caught up in the past, and don't get so caught up in the potential future that you're not able to move forward and do what you need to do right now in this moment to continue growing and continue improving yourself. That's really what it comes down to. So I guess this is kind of more of an anthem to ambivalence, to quote Tim Minchin, where it's just be very careful about the extremes that you have in your life. If you're an overly excuse making person, or you're someone who's overly self critical to the point of a harshness that's unreasonable, and you can't really, you know, you're getting stuck on a lot of factors that you didn't have control with. Control the things you can, improve the areas that you're able to, and accept that the rest happens sometimes, but that doesn't necessarily diminish the quality of your pursuit. And definitely don't impose your own set of standards on everyone else around you. You can challenge your friends. You can try and seek to improve the lives of other people, as long as you're doing it for the reason of bringing them up. Don't ever tear someone else down to make yourself feel better. That just does not help anybody. You're not gonna get anywhere in life spitting fire at those around you. You're gonna make yourself feel worse in the process. Even if it builds you up right now, that is not a life that is sustainable uh, towards towards feeling good within yourself, or at least not in my experience. So thank you guys so much for joining me today. I hope that this could motivate or inspire or encourage you, challenge you in some ways to reflect and look at the way that you go about disappointing circumstances or exciting circumstances, and trying to encourage you to make sure that you are taking a balanced and reasoned approach to the decisions you're making, to the mindsets that you're employing, and try and constantly better and improve your life from it. A couple really quick announcements. I'm going to be down in California next week with my acapella group 2020. We are doing our tour, and I will be stopping in a couple of cool gyms on the way. It sounds like I'm going to be able to get into super training and train with Silent Mike. It sounds like I'm going to be able to get into Barbell Brigade and get a session in there Monday and Wednesday respectively. So I'm really excited for that. I don't know if I'm going to bring my camera, because I kind of just want to experience these things, and there's so much going on with the acapella tour itself that I don't know if I'll have time to get a lot of actual footage. And this is more of an occasion to focus on the music and get to experience some of these things myself, without necessarily turning it into a collab opportunity, I guess. Maybe some people feel differently about that, but also the BCR, Blevins Campbell Rice Experience, the 20-week guided programming is starting up on the 21st, so go ahead and check that down in the description below. I will link the video that Garrett goes into what that is. I encourage anybody who is remotely interested in doing that to at least look into it and potentially pursue it. It gives us all a chance to learn and grow together as a community, and it's going to be a lot of fun. So thank you guys all so much for hanging in there, and I will talk to you very soon. I have another video coming up in the next couple days. So I hope you're doing well, and I'll talk to you very soon. Bye.